Scaling kipping pull-ups in a CrossFit workout. Why do we perform a kip swing when we do pull-ups in CrossFit workouts? The first thing you need to understand is that we do not perform a kip swing to substitute for a strict pull-up. It is not a way of jumping ahead and getting ourselves to a pull-up by using momentum when we can't do a regular pull-up. You should be able to do multiple strict dead hang pull-ups before you move on to the kipping pull-up. The reason we do kipping pull-ups in a workout, as you can hear by my breathing after doing that set, is that it creates a greater intensity for that workout. We're using the same principles that we use throughout CrossFit in that we are creating a core, so the bigger muscles to extremity movement. We're using our bigger muscles, we're using the momentum we create with our core, which is the kip swing is created by using these midline muscles to give momentum to get up and over the bar and produce a greater volume of reps at a higher intensity than if we were going strict. A set of strict pull-ups at that number will not really leave you out of breath. That will, but you won't have as much muscular fatigue. So they don't perform the same function necessarily as a strict pull-up. You have to have that in mind when you're thinking about scaling. A kipping pull-up should be thought of like a push press or a push jerk, and then we're using our big muscles to assist our smaller muscles. Therefore, we can get a greater volume and sometimes we can move a greater load if we decide to weight ourselves, but I'm jumping ahead there. Once we understand the principle of kipping pull-up is it's not the same as a strict pull-up, it's a variation on that and a chance to use our core to extremity movement, chance to create some more skills, some more coordination. Then we can think about how we're going to scale. The first and most simple way of scaling a kipping pull-up is to reduce the number of reps down. So if you have some kipping pull-ups, full range of motion ones, then you need to look at what the stimulus is for the workout and scale appropriately. For example, one of the workouts we have this week is 25 pull-ups per round, but those 25 pull-ups should take you around a minute. For most people, that's a big challenge. We're talking about doing 3 sets maybe with a short rest in between, possibly 2. Therefore, for a lot of people, it's going to be scaling that number down to something they can accomplish in 60 seconds, which may be a set of 15, maybe as few as 10. What you need to think about then, though, so if you do have strict pull-ups and you have some kipping pull-ups, if the rest is going to be too great or the reps are going to be too few to get close to that stimulus of that workout and your goal is to maybe increase the amount of volume that you can do in pull-ups, then you could think about maybe adding a band and performing some banded kipping pull-ups. Again, this shouldn't be a substitute for someone who is not quite or nowhere near having strict pull-ups. It should merely be a small bit of help for those people that are on that threshold of kipping pull-ups or that want to increase their volume of kipping pull-ups, which is why we only allow banded pull-ups with very light assistance. For example, here with the red band, you can see it's very light as assistance, probably only giving a few kilos of help, but it will just enable you to move through those reps a bit more easily, taking a bit more load, and therefore being able to do a big set, but still working on that kipping swing. Now, another option for those people that do have a small set of strict dead hand pull-ups, but haven't quite got the coordination of that kip swing. So some people that have come in from an environment where they have been training regularly, but they've never had that gymnastic element to their training. So they've been doing strict pull-ups or strict chin-ups, and they have that strength. Another option is to actually replace the kipping pull-up with a kip swing to try and develop that coordination and skill. So rather than doing 25 pull-ups in a workout, such as the one we had this week, they may decide to just work on that coordination of the kip swing, or maybe even without that pull, just to build, first of all, the grip strength and grip endurance, because it is a different motion, but also the coordination of that hollow to arch. It's a really important skill to learn. And a lot of people that maybe have the strict pull-up strength maybe haven't got that motion yet. A lot of people can be really strong but not coordinated anyway. So there's a great option for those people that are learning that, to maybe add the kip swing or do 5 kip swings and a strict pull-up in between. Think about what your goal is in that case. For those people that haven't got a strict pull-up or a strict chin-up, they need to think about what is their priority. And your priority to be able to get to a kipping pull-up, or just to match the stimulus of the workout, is to build that upper body vertical pulling strength. We like to do this primarily with 2 main scaling options. And those 2 options are going to be either the toe assisted or the jumping pull-up. Both of these, I would say, have equal value. And if you are a regular CrossFit athlete and you're training regularly, you should be utilizing multiple scaling options when you are training, not just the same one every single time. And always think about that when you are coming in, because there's value to both. With the jumping pull-up, we're looking to set up in a position where the bar is at least 6 inches or so. We're going to say that's about 6 inches here, below your head when you're standing upright. And because we are scaling for a kipping pull-up, we still want to integrate that same motion, which means that we are going to move from our hollow into our arch and then back into our hollow before we jump up and over and then come back, trying to come back in that hollow again. Now you can adjust how hard that becomes by adjusting how hard you jump on those reps. What we don't want to see, and this is where you have no value, is a jumping pull-up. Looks like this. In that motion, not only am I not learning any of the skills, I'm not building any strength in my upper body. I'm just developing a jumping ability. So if your goal is to be able to jump higher, then by all means, replace your jumping pull-ups with something that looks like that and just try and jump as high as you can. What you want to do is only jump hard enough to allow you to get over the bar with your max effort pull. Now, because we're doing, generally in a kipping pull-up workout, multiple reps, what we don't want to see on these jumping pull-ups is a slow negative. It is not a safe option to do. It needs to be under control, but not slow. So this would be an under control rep. So I'm just controlling my descent somewhat. This would be an out of control rep, and this would be for someone that this exercise is maybe a bit too advanced for. And you feel the jarring of my shoulder joints as I land. Okay, if you feel like that, if you feel like you can't control your descent, that shouldn't be an option for you, because it means you don't have the upper body strength you require to control that speed. But conversely, in a high volume workout, so lots of reps, we definitely don't want to see this. The negative, which is what that is, a slow negative, is a great exercise at building strength. And we do utilize that in scaling of some CrossFit workouts, even some when they do use kipping pull-ups. But if we do so, it's very few reps. So for example, if we did decide as coaches that we were going to offer that as a scaling option for a workout, we would say to people in a 25 rep workout, you might do 3 to 5 negatives per round. So rather than 75 pull-ups, you'll end up doing somewhere between 9 to 15 negatives. The reason for that is that the time and attention is very, very great. And that eccentric, that lowering of the muscle under control, puts a lot of load and does a lot of muscle tearing, which is kind of what we want to build strength, but it's excessive and it can cause rhabdomyolysis, which some of you may have heard of in CrossFit, but it's basically where the muscle breaks down so much that it goes into the bloodstream and it can cause some quite bad side effects. We want to avoid that. So yes, negatives are an option, but for those people that know the value of negatives, pipe up, but it's for a much smaller volume. So generally for high volume workouts, you want those negatives, those jumping pull-ups to have a controlled lowering, a controlled eccentric phase, but not a super slow eccentric phase to that workout. We generally would employ the negative more often than not in a workout with fewer reps or that was focused on strict pull-ups. If the workout was programmed as strict pull-ups, that would definitely be an option, and you should be doing negatives. If you are super close to pull-ups, or if you've got maybe one strict pull-up and you want to build more, negatives are really useful in their value. So for example, if you are training and you've got a strict pull-up, but only one, make sure you use that phase down as well, because that's going to enable you to get to the second pull-up and so on and so forth. But in a kipping pull-up workout, make sure that's just controlled as the tempo. Now, the value of a toe-assisted pull-up is equally good to that of a jumping pull-up. A lot of people think that a jumping pull-up is a step up to a toe-assisted. It's not, it's just a different option. It is an option for people that aren't able to do a jumping pull-up yet, yes, but people that can do a jumping pull-up should still move down to the toe-assisted. And the reason for that, the reason it's got so much value is because you can control every phase or every segment of the pull in your pull-up. You can apply strength gains to each area, okay? So with a jumping pull-up, obviously the most resistance at the bottom. When you're jumping, you've got loads of momentum. So you're not actually getting much of a pull there. You might get a bit of help on the way down when you're trying to control your tempo. But on a toe-assisted pull-up, and I'm going to do it as a kipping variation, so I'm going to go back in hollow, into the arch, and then come back in hollow. When I'm pulling from here, I can control how much assistance I have all the way up. And then I can give myself even more effort on the way down. Here. And I want you to really focus when you're doing these ones on the muscles you're trying to use. So we want to be using these lats and these biceps. The lats especially are ones that are often neglected. So a lot of people that can do a chin up but can't do a pull up because they haven't got that development through their lat muscles. So these lat muscles will run from here all the way down here. Generally in a pull up, you're going to feel it around this region. So when you really focus when you're doing these on activating those, so the scapular pull up where you pull your shoulders back and down, you're going to feel that here, feel that little shrug, keep pulling and pressing down on the bar, really try and feel that contraction. You press that enough, so doing a big set. I can get as much value out of that as anyone who's scaling. I just have to apply more resistance and even more focus on that. If I was looking to develop more definition in the muscles and more of a bodybuilding style workout, that would be a great exercise to do that because I can really focus on those muscles I'm trying to activate. So really undervalued by some people, but you can put a lot into that. Whatever option you choose, listen to what the stimulus is for the workout. So if the stimulus is pick an option on the pull-ups where you can do sets of 5 to 10 reps, then you should be getting to a point of failure around that same number. So you should be making it difficult enough that you're failing and you're having to take those rests in between those numbers. If you could do, so tomorrow's workout 25 reps, if you could do 25 reps in 25 seconds, you've made it too easy for yourself. Challenge yourself. And if you're looking to build strength, make that really tough. You may even do fewer reps. You may do 15 reps of a toe-assisted pull-up, but just do it a little bit slower so you're building through that strength. Think about what you need to do to get to that pull-up. Your final option is a scaling option, also an adaptive option for those of you that have maybe shoulder issues and don't want to get their arms overhead for a certain workout, and that is a ring row. Now, a ring row doesn't have the gymnastic element in terms of the kip motion. You're not going to be learning that kip swing in a ring row, but you are going to be building strength. It's slightly different in that you're building horizontal pulling strength rather than vertical pulling strength. Even though the muscles used are very similar, it's not identical. So if you just do ring rows all the time, you won't get to a pull-up. But if you do ring rows as an option, you will build strength in the muscles to get you to a pull-up. So they are definitely a tool in your toolbox that you need to use now and again. And when you do a ring row, two things you need to do to get value. First thing you need to do is set your feet to the same position every time during that workout. Don't make it easier throughout the workout. Make that same challenge. So from here, I walk myself out to an angle that's going to make it challenging for me. No, I'm going to get this far, mainly because the wall is going to be in the way of my head as well. And then you're going to pull those rings to your ribs. But really, if you want to get that core action in there, squeeze your bum tight, squeeze your abs tight, stay in a straight line, pull those rings to the ribs. Think about moving your shoulder blades together, using all of those muscles in your lats, so all those muscles on the back of your arm as well as your bicep. Control it back and through. Same sort of tempo in the descent as we looked on the jumping pull-up and the toe assisted. We can't be going too slow negative. We would do that in a strength piece, but not in a piece with high volume of reps. The key thing with any kind of scaling of gymnastic movement is think about what you need to train, put value on that scaling motion. Make sure you're feeling the muscles that you should be feeling during that workout. So for a pull-up, you should be feeling to some extent the midline. Not so easy when you're toe assisting and you're down here, but you should definitely be trying to keep this contracted throughout. You should maybe feel the ribs moving, but then contracting into that hollow, opening and then contracting. You should be feeling that scapular retraction, whether that's in a vertical pull or if you're doing a ring row, it's a horizontal pull. You should definitely be feeling that activation in the back. Before you do anything else, the first part of the pull should always feel that. You should feel these muscles activating as those elbows drive back and down. So these lat muscles here, feeling those activating. And then the final part is that bicep contraction as you pull yourself over the bar. Value the lowering part of the workout because you can add a little bit more load to that if you're assisting yourself. You can always add a little bit more load on the way down. Even though you're not doing a slow negative, use that eccentric, use that lowering phase to make it more challenging to build that muscle that's going to get you to your first pull-up. Value scaling. Think about what your goal is in that scaling option. Is it to get better at gymnastic movement, the timing, the coordination? Is it to get stronger? Is it a combination of the two? Pick the appropriate option. Match the stimulus that the coach talks about. This is why it's so important that you're in class or that you're in class on time to hear the whiteboard brief or that you listen to the coach when they're doing the whiteboard brief so you know what you should be feeling during that set of pull-ups. Should it feel like you can go 25 in a row? Is it the idea to go as big a sets as you can each time? Or is it going to be, tiny sets but more challenging? Think about that. Your set of pull-ups, if you're scaling, should take the same amount of time as all the other athletes in the class if we scaled appropriately. Okay? Yes, there may be an exception. There may be someone who's gymnastic and can do 25 in a row. They are the exception to the rule, and perhaps they maybe could make it a bit more difficult for themselves. In some workouts, they might go chest to bars. There could be a way, when you're scaling, we're not only scaling down, sometimes we may even scale up. So if someone is a gymnastic ninja, then it might be that they won't be hitting the stimulus either because they're doing too many reps. So there is an option to scale up in workouts and make that bigger motion, a chest to bar pull-up. Sometimes add some weight to those pull-ups as well. Match that stimulus and then put value on every single rep that you do, because the only way you're going to get progression in these gymnastic movements is by putting value in those scaling options. You don't suddenly go from scaling to doing that movement if you're not putting value in each and every single rep that you do when you have the opportunity to scale. Thanks for watching.